Cordelia had lived in the same house for more than 50 years. It was not big or beautiful, but it was where every part of her life happened. The walls had heard her laughter when her daughter was born, and later, her quiet prayers when her husband passed away. At 78, she spent her days caring for her flowers, feeding the stray cats in the yard, and calling her daughter just to check in. She never asked for much: a short visit, a warm smile, a few words that made her feel loved. Her daughter, Lily, had once been the child Cordelia carried everywhere, the one she sang to sleep. Cordelia sacrificed jobs, parties, and even her own health to ensure Lily had everything. Every bruise, every cold, every school trip, Cordelia was there. She believed that love was a seed that would always return to you. But slowly, things changed. The calls grew shorter. The visits were filled with sighs and glances at the clock. Lily's husband, Marcus, often stayed in the car when they came by, too busy to even walk inside. Cordelia told herself it was just life moving fast. She didn't see the shadows gathering. She didn't hear the plans that would turn her safe home into a place of fear. To her, they were still her family, the people she would trust with her last breath, not knowing that trust was about to be shattered in a way that would scar her forever. Lily began to complain about how hard life had become, how money never seemed enough, how the bills kept rising. Cordelia listened and offered what little she could. Sometimes it was a bit of her savings, other times it was a meal, or a night watching the kids so they could rest. She thought she was helping. She didn't realize her kindness was feeding a hunger that would never be satisfied. Soon, the house she loved became a place for quiet, cold conversations. Marcus viewed it differently, not as a home, but as a prize. He saw the deed, the value, and the future he wanted without the old woman in the way. Initially torn, Lily began to let those thoughts take root. She started to see her mother not as a person, but as an obstacle. The love that once lit her eyes dimmed. In its place grew something Cordelia had never seen before: greed disguised as desperation. It happened on a soft afternoon, the kind of day Cordelia usually spent on her porch, knitting or listening to birds. Lily came with a smile, saying she had a surprise. Cordelia's heart warmed. Maybe it was a cake. Maybe it was a visit just for her. She followed her daughter down the stairs into the basement, laughing softly at how silly it felt, not knowing what was planned. She didn't see Marcus waiting in the corner. She didn't see the buckets of mortar or the stack of bricks. The push was quick, not cruel in words, but in silence. Marcus said nothing. Lily avoided her eyes. They worked fast, wall after wall, brick after brick, until the light disappeared. Cordelia's voice cracked, begging and pleading, calling her daughter's name, but there was no answer, only the sound of bricks sliding into place and the faint echo of footsteps walking away. Darkness swallowed everything. The air was heavy with dust. Time stopped meaning anything. Cordelia tried to count the hours, then the minutes, then her breaths. Sometimes she whispered prayers. Sometimes she screamed. Sometimes she just sat with her back against the cold wall, wondering if this was really her life or some strange dream she could wake from. Above her, the world continued. She could hear faint sounds, water running, doors opening, laughter, maybe a television. The cruelty wasn't just in what they did, but in how close life still was. Just a few feet above her, her daughter lived as if nothing had happened. While Cordelia's body grew weaker, her lips dry, her hope fading with each hour. Ezekiel lived 2 houses away. He had known Cordelia for 30 years, often helping her carry heavy groceries or fix small things around the yard. When he didn't see her curtains move for days, something inside him grew restless. He called, no answer. He knocked, no sound. He asked Lily, who smiled too quickly and said Cordelia had gone to visit a friend. But Ezekiel's heart told him it wasn't true. He returned that night, listening outside the windows, calling her name softly, hoping he was wrong. Then he heard a faint, weak thump, like someone trying to respond from far away. His hands shook. He ran to the basement window and pressed his ear to the glass. There it was again, a sound no normal house should make, a cry not from ghosts, but from someone still fighting to be heard. Ezekiel didn't wait. He broke the window, forced the old lock, and climbed into the dark. He found the wall fresh and cold, not meant to be there. He tore at it with anything he could find, his hands bleeding, his breath sharp, until a small opening revealed a hand, a face, eyes filled with pain but still alive. He pulled Cordelia out as if lifting someone from a grave. She was weak, covered in dust, her skin cold, her heartbeat faint but steady. She cried, but no tears came. She tried to speak, but only air escaped. Ezekiel wrapped her in his coat and held her like she was family, whispering that she was safe now and that no one would hurt her again. The police arrived. The ambulance took Cordelia to the hospital. Lily and Marcus were arrested, their lives crumbling in the light of what they had done. The world saw their faces, once respected, now a picture of cruelty no one could understand. Neighbors cried, some were angry. Most just stood in silence, unable to believe love could rot so deeply. Cordelia never returned to that house. She chose a small, quiet place near the river, where the sound of water gave her peace. She kept no photos of Lily, no letters, no memories on the wall. She didn't hate her daughter. Hate takes strength, and Cordelia had none to give. She simply let go, not for Lily, but for herself, to make room for something better, even if that something was just a little piece. She lived the rest of her days simply. Sometimes she would sit by the window, a soft blanket around her shoulders, watching the world go by. People waved. Some stopped to talk. Ezekiel visited often, bringing fresh bread or flowers. They rarely spoke of what happened. Some wounds didn't need words. They just needed time. Cordelia carried her pain quietly, like an old scar that didn't hurt anymore, but still changed how she moved. She had been betrayed, buried, forgotten, but she had also been saved, held, and given another chance. And that, more than anything, kept her breathing and her gentle heart beating, a quiet reminder that even in the darkest places, someone will still hear you.